This is QTV News. I am Ansumana Eswanyasi and thanks for joining us. Coming up, in a dramatic day in Gambian politics, the UDP calls on President Barrow to honor the terms of the coalition agreement which brought him to power and stand down. In response, a presidential spokesman said the president will disregard such calls and see out his mandate. Serious allegations of sexually based gender violence at the TRRC have provoked a public debate online and on the radio. We went out to get some views. And the QGroup's chairman is as good as his word in delivering on a promise he made to UTG first-year law students over the weekend. We hear what happened when he went to the university today. For more on this and other stories, do stay tuned. The United Democratic Party, through its leader Ousainou Darboe, on Wednesday issued its official position on the 3-year coalition agreement, calling on President Barrow to honor the agreement which brought him to power. The party announced its decision at a press conference held at the party's office in Manjai Kunda. Here is an excerpt.
The UDP urges all the parties to the coalition agreement, and particularly the principal beneficiary of the coalition agreement, that is His Excellency President Barrow, to be faithful to what was agreed to by all the parties, including President Barrow, and also for President Barrow to fulfill his promises to the electorate that if he's elected president, he'll serve for a term of 3 years, step down, supervise the elections, and hand over the office of the presidency to whoever is elected at that elections. I believe that this promise to the Gambian electorate was sacrosanct, independently of the agreement, because these election promises really might have motivated or influenced the Gambians to vote in the way they did vote.
In response to the UDP's call, President Barrow's Deputy Advisor on Youth Matters, Sehum Ballo, has issued a press release seen by QTV. In the press release, Mr. Ballo said, "I learned with great dismay reports that the leader of the United Democratic Party, lawyer Ousainou Darboe, has reneged on his principled position of support for the 5-year constitutional mandate of President Barrow. Just as it is disappointing, the decision is meaningless and cannot stand even the slightest constitutional scrutiny and rigors. As far as we are concerned, President Barrow was duly elected and mandated by the Gambian people to serve for a period of 5 years based on the 1997 Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. We recognize the 2016 coalition agreement as a legitimate friendly agreement. However, where it comes in conflict with the law, the supremacy of the law takes precedence. Therefore, we are calling on all and sundry, particularly genuine politicians, to do the right thing and stand in support of the Constitution of the country." The release ends. The Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, last week concluded hearings on sexual and gender-based violence. Several victims testified about sexual abuse, including rape, during the 22-year rule of former President Yahya Jammeh. Our reporter Isa Jan finds out the public's diverse views on rape sparked by some of the testimonies.
Following the conclusion on TRRC's 3 weeks public hearing on sexual and gender-based violence under Jammeh's tenure, reports have emerged that some witnesses are having their testimony questioned, and some have been criticized and ridiculed, particularly on social media. Public opinion on rape and its causes in our society is divided. Wakasen, a resident of Dipakunda, totally blamed women's lifestyle as a catalyst for rape.
The rise in rape cases is the fault of the women. If we want rape cases to stop in the Gambia, then women should dress decently. Even you, interviewing me, you are wearing tight trousers. If we meet on the streets and I admire your assets, then only God knows what can happen.
Senior medical officer and focal person on gender-based violence at Kanifing Medical Hospital, Dr. Babanding Dafe, answers the widely controversial question on whether clothing means consent.
I don't think that should warrant everybody or anyone to go and then just forcefully assault or try to rape a woman. I think it should be out of consent. So if they are telling us that because what they wear, you look at the statistics from which age group to which age group is more involved, then it will tell you. Well, if you look at my statistics, the kids 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, what does those people wear that will attract a man, that will warrant or force you to forcefully or try to forcefully penetrate that girl? Then to me, I disagree.
One of the victims who testified at the TRRC says she was allegedly raped more than 60 times by the same person over a period of many months. That assertion raised questions as to why someone would be raped multiple times without at least consenting to some of them. Tijanba of Kanifing South shares his take.
We can choose to believe the stories or not, but there are certain stories that are unbelievable. Rape that has occurred more than 4 times is no longer rape. If it happened once, then it can be called rape. But more than once, my friend, you like it and it is your choice.
Dr. Babading Dafe says rape is a violent crime involving sexual acts forced on one person by another. He adds that force, however, doesn't always refer to physical pressure. Some perpetrators will use threats to force a victim to comply, resulting in cases in which the act happens more than once.
I don't think it's because she wanted. I think it's because she was forced. And for the fact that she was forced, even at the beginning, anything that happened subsequently, even at her own will, now, you look at the introductory part of the whole scenario. For me, it's a rape, and it can be considered as rape, because it was totally against her will.
Rape can occur in many forms, such as acquaintance rape, age-related rape, incest rape, aggravated rape, diminished capacity rape, and even partner rape. Jaraiba of Dipakunda shares her take on that.
Even married couples can rape each other. Most of the time, a man can take advantage of his wife when she is not in the mood to be intimate. Here you have no right to force her. Taking advantage of a person and forcing her is rape. As a woman, I truly sympathize with the victims.
Dr. Babading Dafe says statistics on rape cases in the Gambia have alarmingly risen since 2014 till date, which is a great cause of concern, he added.
That year we had about 46 cases in 2014. In 2015 we had about 73 cases. In 2016 we had about 93 cases. And then 2017 we had about 111. Then up to 119 to 159. That was 2018. And 2019, now we are about 136 plus. If you total that, it's over 600 cases. Those are the cases that are reported. What about the cases that are not reported?
Dr. Dafe says sexual violence is a serious public health and human rights violation, with both long and short-term consequences on the victim's physical, mental, sexual and reproductive health. In the Gambia, blaming rape victims is real, causing some not to report rape cases for fear of being judged or mocked by society. Dr. Dafe, however, says victims should immediately report rape cases to a trusted family member, the police station, as well as the hospital, because the earlier the case is dealt with, the better. He also urges members of the society to be more empathetic and supportive to rape victims and the judicial system to tighten the penalties on the crime. The public should also be sensitized on the dangers of rape, he concluded. For QTV News, I am Aisha Jain.
The chairman of the QGroup, Mohamed Jah, on Wednesday handed over copies of Chief Justice Hassan Jallo's latest book to the Dean of the Law Faculty at the University of the Gambia. This follows a promise Mr. Jah made during the launching of the book last week, where he pledged to buy a copy for all UTG first-year law students. I witnessed the event. After giving the keynote address at the launching of the book, Prosecuting International Crimes, Recollections and Reflections, a personal memoir authored by the Gambia's Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallo, Mohamed Jah, chairman of the QGroup, on Wednesday handed over copies of the book to the Dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of the Gambia. The gesture is in fulfillment of a promise Mr. Jah made at the book launch to buy a copy for all UTG first-year law students. Jah, who is renowned for his philanthropic contributions and benevolence, says the university is one of the most important institutions in the country. He went on to express his willingness to support the university, citing several positive interventions by the QGroup, including the setting up of the UTG IT lab, offering free lectures, and providing scholarships for students, amongst others. Jah also advised the students to focus on their studies. He cited his story as an example that in life everything is possible, especially when one dreams big. The Dean of Faculty of Law, Professor Henry C. Alisigwe, says the donation couldn't have come at a better time. He added that the UTG appreciates the assistance that Jah and the QGroup continues to provide, saying the books will help the students acquire knowledge. Mohamed Jeng is the president of the Law Students Association. He told QTV that this is the first time that the law school has received such magnanimous help. He added that the books will have a great impact on their studies. He also had a word of advice for his fellow students. For the chairman of the QGroup, Mohamed Jah, supporting those in need is and will always be at the forefront of his already highly successful business career. For Mr. Jah, a promise made at the book launch is indeed a promise kept. We take a short commercial break, but when we return, we hear about a workshop to help developing countries integrate the agricultural sector into national adaptation plans, and a charity provides free medical services to communities struggling to get such services. Do stay tuned.
Are you a shop owner, retailer, or working in other commercial industries? Customers are looking to buy things every day. Let them know where you are.
Life is sweet like chocolate.
Take part in QTV's marketplace and showcase your business to a large group of potential buyers.
The money is calling.
Call us on 32-444-44 or send us an email at marketing@qtv.gm for more details.
Man, you don't know what I've been.
You can also get in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. QTV Marketplace. Be noticed.
I'm the baddest in my category. Balling like I'm Curry. Shutting down everywhere.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Welcome back. A workshop to support developing countries to integrate the agricultural sector into national adaptation plans is organized by the Department of Agriculture on Tuesday. The program targets 11 countries globally and aims to strengthen technical and institutional capacities to integrate climate change concerns into national and sectoral plans. Babukar C reports.
The National Adaptation Plan is being implemented by UNDP and FAO with funding support from the Federal Republic of Germany. The 3-day workshop is part of a global program which aims to support vulnerable countries through coordinated and country-driven capacity enhancement to integrate climate change adaptation concerns of the agricultural sector. Aissata D, UNDP country representative, said a number of activities have been adopted to build national capacities, which begins with gathering necessary information in tackling climate change.
In Gambia, ladies and gentlemen, there is a high dependency of rain-fed agriculture and low level of technology adoption, leaving the country agriculture sector highly susceptible to climate change. With crop production employing up to 56% of the country populations and making up to 30% of the domestic GDP, it is crucial that the agriculture sector is supported in building resilience to climate change to progress towards sustainable development.
Lamin Kamara, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Agriculture, said climate change has affected the country's agricultural development over the years, citing an example of this year's rainy season, which came late.
If we take a trend of the last 2 decades when it comes to climate change impact on agriculture, we have seen 2001, 2002, the crop failure that has led to food insecurity for the country. And coming down to 2007 to 2008, there was also another crop failure that had affected, our economy. And we saw in 2011, our GDP growth target has gone down by 3 percentage points because of erratic rains. And 2014, with Ebola as a secondary effect plus erratic rainfalls, we saw, our GDP growth and agricultural growth was in a negative.
Muhammadu Fayinke is among the rural farmers benefiting from the training. He said the approach is timely, noting that tackling climate change should involve all partners.
It can be addressed with not by single institution, it should be a combined force, particularly the involvement of the direct people who are affected, like farmers, because we need to be aware, we are aware already, we are trying our own adaptation method that today workshop will come out with the strategies to make sure that we have a national adaptation program, which include all the sectors, the fishery sector, livestock sector, the farming community, the technician, we need to come together as a combined force. Not only the donors only can address the issue, because some of the issue can be addressed by citizens, the local citizens, indigenous people, because they have their way to adapt things. Like this year, the rain folio, everybody in the Gambia, our concept was the June, May is the first rain season. And this year was not the case. That means I can see that the climate change effect on it.
Agriculture plays an important role in the economy, contributing about 25% of the GDP according to a GBOS 2009 report. However, climate and non-climate pressures have a significant influence on the status and evolution of Gambia's natural endowments, thus an effect on the country's agriculture sector, which is the main source of income, employment and food supply to over 75% of its rural population. Babukar C, QTV News.
Chosan Charitable Foundation on Wednesday provided free medical and health services to the communities of Jalambang village and its environs, with the aim of helping communities that lack basic health care facilities. Momodu Gajaga was at the health clinic, and this is his report.
Queuing for hours, many people in this community have various health challenges. Some of them are a long way away from the closest medical facility. Even where a health center is available, drugs are not often adequate to meet the demand. These free tests for different health challenges perhaps could not have come at a better time. Aja Chaji Jallo has been a teacher for more than 30 years. She came here to do a test on her eyes. As she is aging, her vision isn't as good as it once was.
It's a free test, and definitely we cannot be more better appreciative than a day like today. Like people are not definitely well. We have so many problems, we have so many ailments. So like I went for the test, and I'm being able to be given drugs that I would be taking, and the lens that I would be using.
A test for blood pressure has shown above the minimum level for many who were tested. Although not all were hypertensive, some are at the risk of getting the illness if they do not take proper care of their health.
I have already been tested, and the results has shown that my blood pressure level is high. But I thank God that I have been given medicine for free. I hope it will help.
According to the organizers, the health fair is meant for the underprivileged who live in communities that are far away from a health facility and sometimes, due to poor roads, are hard to reach.
It's because we feel that most of us are all from villages. Even the founders of the association, they are villagers. They are all from the village. So they went like when we go for back to our villages, how we see our people struggling to seek for medical attention, or even if they go also, maybe because we don't have enough, the medications there are not sufficient because government can't do it alone. Because of that reason, if you go there, you feel that, you can see others will prescription for almost 3-4 days without having it. Or even if they have, if there is, maybe they need to buy others out at the pharmacies, but there is no money.
Several medical reports in the Gambia have shown that hypertension and diabetes are on the increase. A WHO report on hypertension shows that almost 1/3 of adults were hypertensive. A high proportion were undiagnosed, particularly among men. 86% of men versus 71% of women with hypertension. Chosan Charitable Foundation with the medical caravan will be in Kiangkarantaba on Friday to render the same services in the communities. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
And before we end this bulletin of the news, here's a recap of our main headlines. In a dramatic day in Gambian politics, the UDP calls on President Barrow to honor the terms of the coalition agreement which brought him to power and stand down. In response, a presidential spokesman say the president will disregard such calls and see out his mandate. Serious allegations of sexually based gender violence at the TRRC have provoked a public debate online and on the radio. We went out to get some views. And the QGroup's chairman is as good as his word in delivering on a promise he made to UTG first-year law students over the weekend. We hear what happened when he went to the university today. That brings us to the end of this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thanks for watching.